Hey guys, Jeff here at DC Sports Training again, and in today's video I want to go through one of the big assessments that I use with all my athletes, and one of the products that we use to help assess is the pedograph. It's a foot map that my athletes walk over that has an old school ink pad and a piece of paper on the other side, and they just walk over it 1 foot at a time, and it gives me an idea of where the pressure is when they walk, how their feet function, right? It's rather than just looking at a pressure map that I know Fleet Feet has, I want to see how the foot functions. And it's not just a picture of the foot, it's an idea of the forces that act on the foot, right? So I want to get an idea of where this athlete, the pressure is, where they're pushing through, where they're not, where the instability is, on top of other parts of a foot assessment. This gives a great idea of how the foot functions, because I don't necessarily care about developing a huge engine of the car if we're driving on flat tires. So foot function has a huge role in what we do here, and looking at how our athletes' feet function is a large part of our assessment process. And then based off of what we find, we build out our foot program and some of the stuff that we do with our hips and everything like that into their type of foot. So for this athlete, she has a pretty good foot. Pressure's right through the second toe. Where you can see it's darkest is where the majority of pressure is. I'd like her pressure not to be so much in her heel, but a little more in her forefoot. And she's kind of got some dropping of the transverse arch here. There's 3 arches of the foot. Medial, lateral, and the transverse arch. Transverse arch is the only one that has all of the metatarsals that run through it. And she kind of drops her in the middle. And so that's with this foot. So for her, we want to do a little more forefoot stability on her forefoot to get her off her heels, and do more exercises that help promote the front of her body, more anterior loaded rather than posterior loaded in just her heel. This foot type I consider is a potato. This doesn't necessarily look like a foot to me. This is just a big potato. So this foot is clearly a very flat foot, a very pronated foot, a very unstable foot. So this is a foot where we want to build stability. So we got to build a lot of intrinsic strength of the arch for them to not deform as much as they do. And as you can see, there's a tremendous amount of toe gripping going on here with the toes, and the transverse arch is just completely collapsed. So this person's just trying to do everything they can to create as much tension as they can by trying to grab the ground with their toes, but that's not necessarily what we want. We want the arch, because the medial arch and the transverse arch are meant to be suspension bridges for the body. And so with this athlete, they have a lot of instability issues, so we have to work on giving them stability both in the foot but also in the hips, because what's going on in the foot is going on in the hips, and what's going on in the hips is going down to the foot. So this athlete needs a lot more foot stability. So we're doing a lot more short foot, a lot more ankle rocker stuff, a lot more hip stuff, where we're trying to work on the tripod of the foot and get that to build into some hip stuff. And then we have, again, this person that's on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where there is no lateral column. So both their medial and their lateral arch is just extraordinarily tight. So high arched athletes, medial arch athlete, especially a lateral arch, is going to be more susceptible to shin splints, ankle sprains, IT band syndromes, even some lower back stuff, because a high arch, a locked foot, as this would be, is someone that can't disperse force, that can't unlock. The foot has to lock and unlock. It has to be a mobile adapter, but it has to be a stiff spring at the same time. So it has to have this ability to adapt to the environment, but also be able to provide support, since it's the only thing that we're on. And this person is nothing but locked. So for this person, we do a lot of foot mobility, the toga, a lot of other stuff where we're trying to work on really trying to loosen up these segments, a lot more ankle mobility. We even give them a lot of homework. So hopefully that gives you an idea of some of the stuff that we look for with our pedograph on top of a functional foot assessment, that helps build out the total program of what we do for all of our athletes.